Yeah, I didn't know what mastermind it was going to be until you said it. And at the exact same time, it popped up on my Facebook, All the Leads Mastermind 439. So if you guys are on Facebook Live, welcome to episode 439. That's really hard to believe how long we've been doing this. YouTube Live, welcome. If you're here on Zoom Live, welcome to you guys as well. The winners who've joined us live. I was gone last week. I hope everybody missed me severely. I was up visiting my brand new niece, who's like 2 weeks old now. And wouldn't you know, they were all sick when I got there. So the 4 days that I had slated to visit my nieces and nephews and brother and sister-in-law ended up being 1 day. And then I did a bunch of hiking over the next couple of days. So I only got to spend 1 day with her. But cute baby, and I'm not even a baby person. So, all right. And by the way, everybody take note of that. Bruce is not a baby person. So don't ask me to hold your newborns. Once they get to be about a year and they've got that personality in bloom, that's when I start to take note. Okay. So if you guys have never been here before, this is a live Q&A forum. I want your questions. I want your wins. I want to hear from other coaches and other people that are having success in the probate niche. This is all around the probate and the kind of the inheritance niche, pre-probate, that kind of thing. So we want to talk to you guys about your prospecting, your marketing, your deal structures, your appointments, any unique opportunities that you've run into or unique situations that you're just not sure how to handle. We want to hear from you guys. You can do that in a couple of different ways. So if you're here on Zoom with us live right now, chat your question in, not chat, please don't chat. Raise your hand. So go to the bottom of your screen and raise your hand. We'll call on you. You can ask your question. If you absolutely insist on chatting your question in, you can absolutely do that. We will answer those, hopefully in the order that it was received. But we're going to give you priority if you raise your hand. If you're watching via live stream on YouTube or Facebook, you can and should chat your questions, your comments underneath of the stream, and we'll tackle those questions as well. And that's what we're here for. I see Mr. Yandel, our CEO, has unmuted himself. I want to kick it over to Tim and see if he has anything to add. In the meantime, get your questions coming in. We want to hear from you.
I was just excited to figure out how to all of a sudden unmute myself. I was never had that problem before. And Eric finally decided he would allow me to be an admin and get back in the groove again. I just wanted to say welcome back, and I'm glad you're not a baby person. I've always thought of you as a fully formed grown man. So that's a good thing. I'm glad. Don't have a lot.
Yeah.
We had a great call last week, despite you running off to the woods, and we had some really good questions. They were actually extremely good questions, and it's always good to have you back. And I have everybody here that's here, and I think the important thing to remember is that it always ends up that right at the end of the hour, we get a bunch of people raising their hands and oh, talk to me. So please get your hands in the air if there are things you want to talk about early. We'd love to hear from you so we can make it a good meeting. And it is all about you. We prefer to respond to what you have to say, not to preach and tell you wonderful things that we think of. We'd rather be talking to you about what you want to talk about. And with that, Bruce, I'm going to turn it back to you, buddy.
All right. Well, while I'm waiting on some folks to pop their hands up and start chiming in, I want to open up the call by talking to you guys about a few coaching sessions that I've had over the past week or two where folks are going with kind of a generic type of message when they go to their audience. The generic, hey, I'll help you with this turnkey type of service definitely works. We provide that. You're going to see that in letter templates. You want to use a kind of a comprehensive concierge type of turnkey service when you're making your offers to the families that are going through probate. There's very little worse when you've lost a loved one, and let's say it's someone you're really close to, like a spouse. There's not much worse than saying, sorry, your wife died. Do you want to sell the house? And we need to recognize that that's what people hear, even if that's not those aren't the words that you have used or the words that you have written in your letter. So you want to offer kind of a turnkey type of service to help with the entire probate process. It's really important for you guys to be able to help with the probate process and present yourself as someone that helps with more than just getting a house, making money on a house. However, there's a lot of people that are offering kind of a turnkey type of service like that. And I want you guys to focus in on your unique selling proposition. So what is it that you can provide for someone that's unique, that's different from your competition and different from maybe the services that they thought that they needed? We know that when you catch someone on the phone or when they open up your mail, we all know that they don't know you, they don't like you, they don't trust you. You have some rapport that you need to be building. And so their natural tendency is going to be resistant unless you catch them and pique their interest with something that you can offer. So guys, think about the unique solution or the unique result that you can offer the prospect that you're dealing with. And I'm going to give you guys an example. If you've been in foundations, you've heard this example before, and this does not need to be your specific probate example. But if I'm talking to a seller in general, and they say, yeah, I've been thinking about selling a house and I want to get in front of them with marketing or in conversation, instead of saying, hey, I want you to work with me because you get me. That's the same thing everybody else says. You might think it's unique, but it's not unique. So that's not a result. I want you to focus on the result when you're offering the service, when you're telling them what they're going to get if they call you back, what they're going to get if they work with you. And so what I would do years ago, and a lot of you have seen this, so I would say what you're going to get if you work with me is you're going to get a 24-day guaranteed sale. If I don't sell your house for top dollar, I'll sell your house and I won't charge you a commission. Right? That's an example of a powerful, unique selling proposition. It catches someone's attention from you and sets you apart from being just another name in a sea of realtors into someone that's offering them something that nobody else is offering. So that's an example of a unique selling proposition. Now, I want you guys to go back and think about how you can create a unique selling proposition around your probate business. If you want to offer a guaranteed sale, that's fine. If you want to offer some compensation or a guarantee to make them more money, something like that, think about that. Don't be just another name going, hey, let me buy the house. I can buy the house. I can list the house. Offer something different. And that's where you're really going to start to stand apart.
Hey, Bruce, while you're mentioning that, if anybody has any unique selling propositions that you think, are unique to you, this would be a great time to share them, because not everybody, and I'm sure you had some protections for yourself in that 24, or I'll do it for free.
Yeah.
You might want to share that. There's a big billboard in my market where it says, sell your house today, move tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And this realtor's proposition is, I'll find a way for you to stay in the property after the closing. Well, does it always work? Probably not, but sometimes it does. And, if the buyer and the seller are the right people, it certainly can.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So I'm shortcutting here for you guys. I'm sure I'm getting ahead of a piece of the Probate Foundations class that I teach. So it's coming up next week. If anyone has not taken Probate Foundations, go register for that on the All the Leads site. So I'm going to give a little teaser of a piece of what I teach there. And I'm going to say, those of you that are investors here, those of you that are realtors here, I'm going to give you a unique selling proposition that I would give to you guys so that you can see another example of how I think about USPs and what I'm offering to clients. And I am not offering this to you guys. I use this as an example, and it's an extreme example that I can't fulfill. Okay, so nobody call me after this and say, Bruce, I want you to do this for me. But I'm going to give you an extreme example that if you work with me as your one-on-one coach, I'll add $1 million to your net income next year. All right. Now, could we potentially fulfill that with the right person? Yeah, maybe, but it's not going to be consistent to add $1 million to your net income next year. But that's an example of the USP. I'm not telling them how I'm going to do it. I'm telling them what I will do for them. Now, if I wanted to get a whole bunch of coaching clients, I would offer something like that. So once you have the offer, then you go look at your plan. You better put a plan together to help you fulfill that offer. So when I do a 24-day guaranteed sale, I go look at my plan. So I come up with the unique selling proposition first. What's going to catch someone's attention? Then I go lay the plan out. How can I do this? And you really have to brainstorm these things. If it's something that's a really easy, oh yeah, I'll just do this and this for them, it's probably not unique enough. It's probably not power enough. So come up with that big, bold, aggressive claim, and then put your plan together of exactly how, if they do these steps with you, they can achieve that result. And then the third thing you want to do is put some terms and conditions around your unique selling proposition. Now, there's a lot of people on this call that when I say, if you work with me as your coach, I'll add $1 million to your net income next year. There are a lot of you that if I was really legitimately making that claim, you would say, BS, never going to happen. You can't do that. And you would tune me out because you'd think that I was overpromising the world. But I guarantee 90% of you that say BS would take me up on the next offer I'm about to make. And that next offer is simply this. Is it okay? So let's say, Jim, you work with me as your coach. I'll add $1 million to your net income next year. You say, BS, you can't do it. And then I go, would it be okay if I showed you how I can do that? Suddenly, I turn the skeptical person into a person that's willing to at least take the next conversational step with me. And now I can show them my plan. And now I turn that offer that they thought was unrealistic into something that they can see the plan for it. So when you guys are coming up with your unique selling proposition, don't worry about how outrageous it sounds. As long as you have a plan that can go with it, and as long as the next words out of your mouth are, is it okay if I show you how I do that? You'll get people to take the call. All right. And I saw hands up just a second ago, and now they're right back down. If you had your hand up and you want to chime in, please put your hand back up. Otherwise, I'm going to keep rambling.
Christine, you had your hand up?
Yeah, if you want to pop your hand up again, we welcome you here. So Chris has asked, why 24 days and not 30 days? I don't know. It's just more unique. Remember, when you're coming up with your unique selling proposition, you want unique and bold. So one of the things that I like to do when I was doing a guaranteed sale, and that's not for everybody here, but for example, when I was doing a guaranteed sale, I've done everything from a 59-day guaranteed sale to a 29-day guaranteed sale to a 14-day guaranteed sale. And what I do is I take the average days on market in the area and I cut it in half at least. If not, I cut it down to a third of the average days on market. So if the average time on market in your market is 14 days, you don't want to run a 14-day guaranteed sale. You might want to run a 5-day or a 3-day guaranteed sale. If the average time on market in your area is 100 days, you might want to run a 29-day guaranteed sale. And most of the time what I do is I'll often not make it a nice round number. I'll make it something pretty unique. So if I were doing a guaranteed sale in my market right now, I would not do 24 days because that's the average time on my market. I might say guaranteed top dollar in 3 days or less, or I will buy your house, or I will sell it for free, or I will pay for your attorney's fees or something like that. Okay. And then follow it up with, is it okay if I show you how I do that? Or to see how I do it, go visit this website or go watch this video if it's through marketing that you're delivering your USP. So it's really important that you show them how they can actually see your plan. Otherwise, you're like the politicians that are out there that make these big, bold claims. Hey, we're going to raise the debt ceiling. Hey, we're going to we're going to get rid of illegal immigration. Hey, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. And nowhere do they demonstrate their plan. And if they do demonstrate their plan, they certainly don't tell their audience how to see that plan. I have no idea how to go see the plan from the average political claim that I see floated out there. If you want to be different than that and get people that actually engage with you, you need to show them where they can see or how they can hear more about your plan, how you can prove to them that the offer that you're making can actually be performed on.
And Bruce, Christine said you were having trouble unmuting. Are you good now? Christine, did you still have something you wanted to share?
Oh yeah, Christine, I can invite you to unmute once your hand goes up. If you put it back up, I will give you an invitation to unmute yourself.
Hand.
There you go. Hey, how are you? Good to see
She's
you.
muted again.
Is she muted again? Okay, hold on. There we go. Go ahead. We got you now.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Hey.
Cool. Okay, so you answered one of my questions. So my unique proposition is for properties that need renovations, I can guarantee a 7% higher sales price than any other agent. And if I'm unable to do so, I'll give you a $1,000 rebate.
Wow. Nice. I love it. I
And
love
I
it.
can show how I can do it.
Yeah. Okay. Now, here's one of the minor tweaks that I may consider on a USP like yours, because I used to tell them if you sell to or through me, I will net you 15% more than if you went with someone else. And that percentage was a little bit vague and ambiguous. So what I changed it to was actually putting a specific number to it, something that was believable, was aggressive but believable. So I might say 15% on a $300,000 house is $45,000. So if you work with me, you'll make $45,000 more than if you went with another realtor. And of course, your terms and conditions say that I'm assuming you're going to need to put some money into it and boost the value a little bit. If no, okay, great, pretty cool.
And Bruce,
So,
that could
you're
even,
saying, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jim.
no, I was going to say that could even be 45,000 more on average based on the $300,000 sales price, so that people
Right.
can make.
So instead
Yeah, I
of
don't
using a
wanna-
percentage, use the actual number. And do you think otherwise, I said my alternative should be a higher number too? So instead of 1,000, say, I'll mark off, 5,000 off your sales cost.
Yeah, for sure. Make sure you have protections. Let me tell you my protections on the guaranteed sale. Because I would sell for free, I would waive my commission. So my protections on the guaranteed sale are, we collectively, you, the seller, and me, Bruce, need to agree what full market value looks like. Okay, if I know that it's 300 and you think it's 315, we're not in agreement. So guarantee is for 300,000. And if you take the guarantee, I'm going to list it at 7%, not 5, not 6, it's 7. And if someone says, no, I don't want to pay that extra commission, I'll say, hey, I'll give you everything that I just promised you. No guarantee though. I'll do everything the same as though I were fulfilling the guarantee, just without the guarantee. And then I would do 9 out of 10 houses that I would hit my guarantee. I would lose my guarantee on a house. 10%, 15% of the time I'd lose on the guarantee, and I would have to eat my side of the commission. But guess what? I picked up an extra percent and a half on 90%. So that was my protection. I was willing to eat it on 10 or 15% of the properties. So you may be willing to eat that $5,000 loss on a certain number of properties, as long as you've got some protections on the other end. So you may do a higher commission or something like that. And then what you do if you've done that is, sorry, I've kind of lost my train of thought here. Not supposed to do that on a live podcast. So just make sure you've built some protections in, and also offer them something without those protections, without that guarantee. That way they can get a little bit of a lower price on your commissions if they choose not to go with your guarantee. But I like the guarantee. I love it. That's how you think about USPs, guys. Don't be generic. Get aggressive. Get risky. Risk attracts clients. Man, we would get so many clients because we were risky and we were taking personal risk on our USP. But we would get 4 or 5 times more clients because of the USP than if we'd just been safe, going with the, hey, I'm a really good realtor, sell your house with me. All right. Same thing for you investors, guys. If you're an investor, you need to think about it the same way. All right. Christine, you are back on mute. How do I unmute you if you've got anything to chime in?
Also, David Danell had something he wanted to add also, Bruce.
Yeah, I'll grab David in just a second. David, let me find you, and I'm going to unmute you. If it's related to this, you can chime in. But Christine, what else you got?
No, that was good. Thank you. That was very helpful. I have to think about that.
Perfect. All right. Good job, guys, and good job, Christine. David.
I was going to say, just we go in, if there's other investors that already visit the property when we get there, if we're not the only one or being the only one interviewed, we'll guarantee that price, that the highest price from the investor. And we always know the highest one's always kind of fake, unless it's one of those that they haven't visited the property. So we just did that and then got them $40,000 more on a sale. So it was really good.
So you guarantee to match that match or beat the highest price? How do you do that?
Yep. Yeah. So if they have an offer from an investor that's actually been to the property, I'll take that price and say, hey, look, I could get you the 7-10% more online, even paying my commission in that too. So
yep.
Then you bring up commissions and you talk about commissions as well, and they're okay with it because you're going to make them more money. I always like having the conversation about commissions so they don't, it doesn't become a condition or objection.
So the USP on that might be, hey, if you're selling your house, I guarantee to net you 7% more than your highest offer.
Leave out the 7%. Just say your highest written offer from an investor.
Okay. Yep.
You know,
my only issue with that is you're putting your terms in the USP. You're putting your stipulations in the USP. I'd want to leave out a few of the stipulations in there. You don't want to show how the sauce is made without them calling you and meeting you.
That's right.
You want to show the claim first, and then
just
offer
on the call.
And then on the call or the appointment, now you can start to show how you make the sauce.
That's right. Yeah, definitely. Just my biggest thing I like to tell people is just get that call, and then you could, if you're good at conversations, you should get the appointment.
Absolutely. Good stuff, man. Anything else to add? If you do, I'm gonna read one of the questions over here on my other screen.
Hey, David, you reminded me of one of our old Mike Perry objection handlers. If you got a commission objection, especially if you're dealing with an investor, and it's just to ask the question, well, I can understand you're not looking to pay a commission, but are you more concerned with the commission you pay or the dollars you net? It's well, what do you mean? And then you show them how they can net more. So yeah, this is the same tactic. And it's pretty hard for somebody to say, no, I want to net less and I not pay you a commission. No, everybody wants to net more. So excellent.
Yep. So Rhonda chimed in with a question on YouTube. She said, when you have your team of service providers or your vendors, and there's no real estate involved, so you have your conversations, you've marketed, you've made calls, and you find out not going to sell real estate, or there is no real estate. Do you ask for a referral fee from your vendors because you're not really making anything? And my answer is no, I don't ask for a referral fee. Now I'm going to approach this 2 different ways. Number one is I would look at that pass off, that referral, as an opportunity to deepen my relationship with the vendor and get something in return from them at some point in the future. It's certainly not an IOU. And I do this altruistically. I want to support their business. But at the same time, I recognize that if I can give my vendors and my partners business, I'm going to reap a benefit from that at some point in the future. So I am not charging them referral fees when I send them business. Now, let me tell you, one of the benefits that I do reap from my vendors is after they've been on my team for a little while, I will absolutely approach them about offsetting my marketing costs. So I'll approach them and say, hey, we've been doing this probate here for a little while, and I'd love to include you in my marketing, maybe talk about you inside of several of the letter pieces. This is what my campaign looks like. If you'd like to contribute $100 a month, I'll make sure that I get your brochure into the hands of 100 people. And so I'll actually figure out what the cost is going to be to include whatever piece I'm going to put in front of my audience of theirs. And then I'll charge a little bit more. And I'm using that excess to offset the marketing costs that I'm doing. So I've had success cutting my marketing down in half easily with vendor contributions on a monthly basis. So you guys could do that as well. An easy way to do that is with Stripe monthly payments or PayPal buttons. PayPal buttons is something that you have to actually look up. You're not going to see that on PayPal, but if you look up PayPal buttons, you could create a recurring monthly invoice for vendors. So Rhonda, I really like going after vendors that are going to contribute into a monthly marketing campaign. And they're going to give $100 or $200 to get their name in front of my audience. And then I use that marketing that I'm sending for them, but I'm really sending marketing for both of us. And mine is now free or half off. All right. Otherwise, if you're not going to do that, just give them the referral and know that it'll get paid back to you at some point in the future with potential business. All right. Anything else, guys? We don't have many hands. It's good to see. I'm going to maybe call on someone that's not expecting to be called on. So be prepared.
Hey, Bruce, while you're waiting for the hands to come up, the value of what you said about making an outrageous USP that gets her attention, it reminded me of something years ago. Pam and I took the Tony Robbins Fire Walk. And as part of the Fire Walk, we were going to get a free coaching call. And the promo for the call, and the guy started off by saying, now pay attention, I'm going to show you how to make $100,000 this year. And then he got to the end of the call and asked me how much I had made, and it was a lot more than 100,000.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, I'll have someone else call you back.
Yeah.
So there's a danger of under promising, to people. So I like that idea of really making it outrageous.
Make it outrageous. You want to, you probably want, it needs to be something that at least can be believable if you say, hey, I'll do this. I'm going to add $10 million to your net income next year if you work with me. Is it okay if I show you my plan? Now I take all those people that would have seen my plan at $1 million, and they probably don't take me up on the offer to demonstrate it. So make it something that's outrageous. It's a little scary for you. But not so outrageous that people just ignore you. All right. Yep. And by the way, guys, this new Zoom format where someone's pinned on the main page has caused me to miss a bunch of hands that are up right now. So I'm going to go to the phone number ending in 531. Go ahead and unmute yourself. I just gave you permission. And then Anthony after that.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you loud and clear.
Excellent, thanks. Hey, I wanted to know if you or anybody else has seen an increase in contacts when that first mailing requires a signature.
Great question. I like to think that I've thought of everything, and I've never thought of that. I'm sure there's 1,000 other things that I've never thought of, but I've never thought of that. It's funny.
Yeah, I go ahead.
A few years ago, and this was Tim's going to start cringing. There was a mistake that was made a few years ago with bulky mail, where those that are doing pen mailings, the post office did not accept the batch of pen mailings that all the leads had sent out. They accepted it, but when it arrived at the receiving party's address, the post office put a note on their door saying, "You have an unpaid package here." Now, the client and all the leads had paid for the package. And so the receiver would have to go pay $3 to get their mail. And then they'd open the mail that they paid $3 for, and it was marketing. And it was just a awful, dreadful situation. And honestly, it was a post office glitch. But there were so many conversations that were had around that. And I think that the agent at the time offered to send them $20 for their trouble, and really calmed people down. Now, that's a really expensive piece of marketing. Not only was it a bulky pen mailing that they paid more money for, but now all of a sudden, everyone that called and complained, they had to send them $20 extra. But I'll pay $25 to have a conversation. Even if it's someone that's mad, and I get to hopefully disarm them. So I'm not telling you guys go do that. That's certainly an uncomfortable call to field when someone's mad because they had to pay for your marketing. But it really goes to certain things that you can do to force return calls. And so I would like to also put that question that you just asked out to the audience and anyone else that's ever required a signature on your first mailing. Please chime in and let us know your results. I think it's a brilliant idea. I think it's an absolutely great idea. You might want to try it and then tell me how it works. be our beta tester.
Okay, yeah, because I don't think it's that much more on the postage. You know, I'm doing kind of a 9x12 flat that actually goes as a package because it's got the pen, got some other reference material about probate in our state, and I always see the require signature option. And I thought, well, I wonder if that really does. So yeah, I will try it. And I also want to compliment you guys the disrupting script when you first get them on the phone to ask if they recognize your name. That it works brilliantly. It gets people to talk more than any other opener. So thank you for that.
I love it. I love it. When I used to use is my name familiar to you? I would have people that I know flat out have never heard my name before. I know it. And they'd go, yeah, absolutely. And most people don't do that. Most people go, no, I don't think so. But that few seconds that they're thinking about, no, I don't think so. Guess what they're not thinking about? How do I get this jerk off of the phone? They're not thinking about that. At least it makes them think about something other than disrupting or interrupting the flow of the call.
And then I'll jump in, after half a beat to say, oh, sorry, I'm just a realtor who sent you some information about probate a little while ago. Just want to see if you got it okay. And then it's very, I don't know, it's so disarming. It really works. Yeah.
Man, I love it. I love it.
Great. Well, thanks. I'll try the signature require and see what we get.
Okay, sounds good. Looking forward to hearing the results.
Thanks.
All right, let's go to Anthony. Anthony Murdoch, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have a situation I'm trying to better understand. Maybe I can get some advice.
Okay. Yeah. Did we lose Anthony?
I was gonna say, we may need more details than that.
Yeah, there he is.
Can you
Okay,
guys
there you
hear
go,
me?
Anthony.
Okay.
You're back.
Yeah. Yes. I have a son is the PR for his father's estate. He wants to sell his father's house, but the problem is his father had a huge medical bill. And the medical bill is not tied to the house, but it's pretty much one of those things where it has to be taken care of now that he's going through probate. So with this medical bill, it's like over $100,000. Uh, um, he can't. There's just no room for him to sell the house because he has a $100,000 medical bill.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to figure out what's the best advice. I know the first thing that pops in my mind, maybe negotiating that medical bill down, possibly, which makes the deal work out. That's the one thing that pops in my mind. And then the second thing that pops in my mind is to maybe sell the house for what it's worth, not make any money, not have on paper, have it not look like he makes any money, and then cut the family like a check. Oh, they just want to at least walk away with $15,000. That way they get something out of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, are
Be-
you a realtor or an investor?
I'm both.
Okay. All
So
right.
I'm looking at it from this one is more of an investing standpoint. He's like, Anthony, I'm about to walk away from this because there's nothing, I can't do anything with this house. And so I'm trying to figure out a creative way for them to walk away with something.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Now, since you're a realtor, this certainly makes it a little bit more risky. If you were an unlicensed investor, it would be less risky to cut them a check. Being a realtor, there's certainly the risk there. I think it's more of a gray area, but I'm certainly not going to tell you it's gray area. Go for it. But that's certainly a possibility to be able to cut them a check, especially if you're wearing your investor hat to do the deal. Check the legality. Another question that I would have is which state are you in?
I'm in Florida.
Florida. Okay. Talk to an estate planning and a probate attorney and find out more than one probate attorney, because one may not know this. I talk to a lot of attorneys and they're not all experts in probate. They don't all know the laws around this particular thing. But in a lot of states, there is a mechanism to carve the real estate out of probate. So you may be able to take the real estate that's been now put inside of the probate and take it out of probate and let whatever the medical debt needs to be paid, cover that out of personal property, out of bank accounts, out of things like that, and then sell the house. So in a lot of states, you can take the house out of probate once it's been put in. So talk to a few attorneys and see if that's possible, because that's the best possible scenario is if you can take the house out of probate altogether.
Anthony, a simple question. I assume the medical debt, whoever's owed it, has put a claim in on the probate?
That's exactly what happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
they put a claim in on the property. Okay.
On the
Yeah.
estate. On the
On the
probate.
estate,
On the
because
estate.
I checked the records. It's not tied to like the dad's house.
Yeah, they
So it's
can't
on the
really do that.
estate. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want
I
to
mean-
hear. I see some of our really valuable subscribers and friends of ours. I'd like to put out to, and I know that there's several of you that know what you're doing. Just the names that I see here that may have dealt with this would be Bill Gross, Winston Covington, David Pinnell. If anyone else has dealt with a situation like this, raise your hand and chime in. I'd love to hear from someone else that has some experience with it.
While you're waiting for them to raise their hand, I just want to ask this other question. Anthony, do you know other investors in your marketplace that you might be able to, well, first off, it's not listed. Is that a correct statement?
Yeah, it's not listed. The son is just gonna walk away and let it go back to the bank. He's gonna let it go into foreclosure because he's just like, I don't know what to do.
Okay, is it upside down right now or not?
It has equity in it. Yeah, it's so he has equity, but with this medical bill, it's like he's looking at it as I have this medical bill, I have no equity. but the house
Mhm.
itself, without the medical bill, he can sell it. Yeah.
I understand. So do you know another investor in your marketplace that you might be able to talk to and say, look, here's this deal. If I let you buy this house and you flip it, would you be willing to potentially help them out and, help me out and all that? In other words, do you have a trusted third party that you could have make this deal as opposed to making it yourself?
No, absolutely. I have 3 guys that I trust that, that definitely would do it. I'm trying to, before I go to them, I don't know. I don't even know if it's possible. That's the thing. I'm trying to figure out what I can and what I can't do before I bring it to my investor partners and say, hey, this is what this deal is.
Mhm.
Can you help me out?
Part of the problem that you may have with this is that if the court is looking at it and the court looks at it and the sale price is substantially lower than market, way lower than market, they may not allow a sale to go through because
Oh, wow.
everybody's got a fiduciary responsibility to try and clear debt and all the rest of it. That's the purpose of probate. So it's
Yeah.
all those things are possible, and you're going to need to get, like Bruce said, you're going to need to get some legal opinions on this. But what I was going to say is, it would be potentially better and cleaner for you if you weren't the one making the offer to purchase at the price below market. That definitely is kind of a red flag in terms of some aspects of it being a colluded sale. But
I see.
again, I'm not playing it here, and I'm encouraging you to do just what Bruce said. Talk to an attorney and see what they have to say. And Bill, I see your hands up, and if you'll unmute yourself, we'll be good to go.
Yeah. And I think I heard you, I was listening to this while I was doing something else, True Confessions.
Yeah.
This is in Florida. So I don't know Florida law. I know a little bit about Florida law, but I'm not an attorney. I don't know it in detail. But I think you have 3 angles of attack on this one, right? One is there's equity in the property. There's not equity in the estate. And so to a buyer of the property, they don't care about that. The money goes into the estate. There's no money left. That's the estate's problem. If you bought the property, you now own the property and you move on. And so there are buyers who would buy the property. The problem is your son doesn't get any money, but there are investors who would, buy out his interest in the estate. And so he'll get nominal money, $5,000, $10,000 to walk away from his heirship to turn over the heirship to the investor. That's one option. The second option is the medical bills. When you say medical bills, there's a difference in priority in different states between government issued, like in California, we have Medi-Cal, which is, Medicaid, but it's the state program in California called Medi-Cal. I don't know what it is in Florida. So they have different priority than standard bills. Also, they may not catch, there's a time period for creditors that gets posted and they might miss it. So it might be worth it, number one, just to open the probate and notice them. And then when that time period's gone, if they haven't acted on it and they fall through the cracks, not the Medi-Cal ones in California, but the other bills may or may not be, and they may or may not be legitimate bills. You can always contest them. And the third thing is, it's like any other lender, it's a short sale. But at the end of the day, the lender isn't going to get paid. Now, the problem here is it's not a short sale because the lender is going to be able to foreclose. It's, again, the probate estate that's going to be held short. But that doesn't mean that the lender might not like to avoid foreclosure. It might take a little bit off in order to avoid. So it's worth negotiating. So I would say you have 3 angles of attack on that one. And to me, I would not let it go. I would try to work all 3 angles at the same time if I could.
Mm-hmm. So, Bill, the first option that you mentioned, the first angle of attack, you mentioned buying the son out of his heirship. Isn't that going to just put the buyer that's buying the heirship, put them in the upside down situation? Oh, you're back on mute. Somebody let Bill unmute himself. How do I do this?
I did.
There you go, Bill. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay. So the new heir might not, the heir, yes, not the buyer. And so even, I don't know about being upside down, but if the buyer buys out the heirship, and part of that requirement is that the son, in this case, sell the property. So at least the money goes into the probate. So
Mhm.
again, I don't know the numbers, but let's say, for example, the proceeds are 100,000 and there's $200,000 worth of bills. At least the estate gets 100,000 towards the legal fees and the bills. So it's
Mhm.
still in the best interest of the estate to sell the property and maximize the value of it. So I
Yep.
don't think anybody would stop to sell if there's equity in the property. There's two different levels of equity here. There's equity in the property, and then there's equity in the probate estate. So I think everybody would be on board to get 50 cents on the dollar, or 80 cents on the dollar, or 20 cents on the dollar. So again, buying out the heirship would be for the probate, but more important than that, you're only giving him the money so that he'll go ahead and sell the property to you. And if he sells it to you, again, if you buy it, you own it. You don't care what happens to the probate estate. That's their problem. I don't know what protections there would be on selling it too cheaply as far as court confirmations or court procedures in Florida specifically. I don't think there are any. But that said, you have to comply with it. But once the sale's done, the new buyer has title insurance. They own the property. They don't care if the probate estate is short. And again, the probate estate may only have $100,000 to settle $200,000 worth of bills, but the probate estate rather do that than stiff everybody.
And Bruce, if I heard your question right, I understand Bill's answer. It was almost like a quitclaim deed. With a quitclaim deed, you get the rights, but you don't necessarily owe the mortgage. You get the right to the property. So the heir would maybe have the right to sell the property, but that doesn't necessarily make him liable for the other debts of the estate.
Like
that-
any
So-
heir, they are entitled to a percentage of the proceeds, but
Right.
no heir is obligated for the debts of the creditor. The executor is liable to process everything properly. So there's one thing to be a little careful about is what you don't want to do is sign on either the son may not want to, you may have to step in as executor. As executor, you have to follow the procedures. And so you could not, for example, sell the property on the cheap to your friend and stiff the creditors. You would, in that case, have to document, hey, I did everything I'm supposed to do. Here's an appraisal, or here's a court confirmation evaluation, and we got the best price we could. And then all we have left is this money. And as an heir, I'm not getting anything because we're paying off creditors. So you're right, though. As an heir, you don't get the liability. The executor is liable to manage things for the fiduciary interest of the estate and including creditors.
Got it. Yep.
Regardless, I still think it certainly behooves you to, Anthony, to go sit down with quickly, find an attorney to go ask some quick questions to, in terms of what you can and can't do based on not only this particular issue, but some local nuances as well. You never really know what you're going to find until you ask. And so certainly, that's kind of where we started. Get an attorney's opinion about this before you start taking action. Bill's got a very creative solution here. That'd be great if it will work. You just don't want to do something that's going to run you afoul of either losing your license or being afoul of the law.
What
And
a
Anthony,
great
I'm also in Florida. It's funny, while we were talking, I just got a call from United Healthcare from my mom passed away in 2019. They're still trying to collect her medical bills. The estate's been settled for years. And they started at about 5 cents on the dollar. And they'll go down from there. Now, this company may be a little more aggressive because they're aware that there's equity, but you would be amazed how much you may be able to negotiate those bills, even in that circumstance. They're kind of bottom feeders as far as taking what they can get, as a generic statement. So
Yeah.
That may be your last resort to try to negotiate that.
I'm not even sure it's last resort. It might be front resort. But first thing is, let's see if we can carve that real estate out of the estate. Now that it's in there, and now that there are debts that exceed the value of the estate, the answer may be no. But what a great excuse to build relationship with some attorneys. If I were to call 5 attorneys and say, hey, I'm a realtor and investor in the area, and I'd like to talk to you about getting your referrals, 0 are going to call me back. Maybe 1. If I call 5 attorneys and I say, I have a situation and a client, 4 will call me back. So you use this as an excuse to not only solve the son's, the heir's problem, but build a relationship with a handful of attorneys that would have been hard to get otherwise.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Yep. All right. What a doozy, man. That was a great question. I love those. It also makes me feel dumb sometimes, but that's that's okay. What a great question. Bill, thanks for chiming in. I think I understood everything that you had. Do you have anything else that you want to add, Bill, while you're unmuted?
No, just thanks for doing the call. I just enjoy listening, and
Yeah.
I learn every time. Thank you so much.
Thanks for jumping in. Okay, I don't see any other hands, guys. If there are, I may just be missing them. No other questions. Jim, Tim, anything to add? Tim, go ahead.
I got just one quick thing to remind you. Those of you who have been with us the last 2 or 3 weeks, you realize that we had some really great advice from our favorite mortgage broker kind of guy that we work with here in Florida. We had him on 2 or 3 weeks ago. And then after that, he and his wife put on a 2.5 hour kind of introduction for, if you're a realtor, you want to go be an investor, good place to start. And as part of that, they made a special offer about a virtual bus trip and a 2.5 day training course that literally takes it into depth and basically gives you everything you need to know, chapter and verse, about becoming a real estate investor, doing it with other people's money, all the things that you need to know to be able to do that and do it correctly. And that class is now filling up. So in the chat session here, I know that we've posted info about that, and I don't want you to miss the opportunity to do this with them. They are as good as it gets in terms of that, and they know all there is to know about it. And the last thing that's up there is there's a link to the page that would allow you to do that, and it's discounted because you're an All the Leads subscriber. So hop in there and go take a look at that and get that done. Also be aware that if you're on this call and you're still not getting leads from us, certainly you should check and see if your county is available. We're growing every week, and we'd love to have you part of our family. And certainly if you aren't aware, we are a significant direct mail house as well. So any of your mailing and marketing that we can do for you, we're happy to do that. We can do it for less than anybody else for the kind of work that we do, and we'd love to work with you. So that's my 10 seconds worth of commercial for the day.
And Tim, if I could add to that, Tim Tolbert is Tim and Andy. Andy is a teacher at her very core, and Tim is an extraordinary mortgage broker. As Tim and I have both, Tim Yandel and I have both used him numerous times personally. But as part of the bus tour, he made what I think is a remarkable offer that he will take the time afterwards to go through your entire portfolio with you and make recommendations. Now, I did this just real quickly with 2 of my properties. I was going to sell mainly just to one of them I'd owned so long that the tax benefits were gone. He convinced me, no, don't sell that one, refi it. And the other one I was going to keep, he convinced me to sell. So he'll give you some really, he's not just going to tell you to do something because it benefits him, but he has a knowledge. I think he has a knowledge that most of the accountants I have had over the years don't have. As far as the accountants know what line to put the items in, but they don't always know how to give you advice, how to maximize the deductions. And Tim is extraordinary at that. And for me, the $395 if you're a subscriber for that bus tour is worth it just for the consultation with him, and from everything else that you're going to learn also. So I will be on the magic bus. I hope a lot of the rest of you will be also. Oh, Doug has his hand up.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I just want to be real quick, okay? I want to thank you guys for everything you've encouraged me to do. And remember that property I told you about, the 160 townhomes?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I went and made a presentation to the Department of Planning and Development and told them about this wonderful client I have. She is taking care of grandchildren and she's working her tail off, and this is everything to her. And they loved it. They shared with me for about 2 hours. 2 weeks ago, they called me and they said one of the biggest problems with the property is that there's a dip in it that needs to be filled in. There's old cars that need to be removed, and you have to build a sidewalk before you can build anything. The city called me 2 weeks ago and offered to pay for everything.
Wow. So they're gonna just because you met with the Department of Planning and Zoning, they're
Yes.
okay, pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it's so important to her.
Are
She's
you
very happy.
are you connected with a developer, aka a dirt guy yet?
No.
No. Okay. Go start looking for developers because you're going to need kind of getting the planning and the zoning approved is great, but you got to have a developer that can help with this. I've been through this process before. I worked on it for a year, fell apart in the week before closing. I was about to make $1 million and it fell apart 7 days, less than
Ouch.
7 days before I was going to make $1 million. That feels good, by the way, guys. I'm sure you appreciate that. But just from that experience, I learned that you've got to have a great developer that's done this type of thing in your corner. And when you bring them in, make sure that you sign an agreement that they're not going to just push it to their normal listing agents and builders, that that you get to relist the properties after the development is done. So you be able to relist those properties. So developers a lot of times have their go-to builders, and their go-to builders have agents that are already on staff. So when you put this together with the developer, you need to sign something that says you can send it to your builders, but I want rights to list the properties when they're built.
Thank you.
Yep.
And Doug, they're also in your market while you're looking for the right developer to do that. Also look up commercial real estate consultants. There are consultants who have that as a specialty, and they work with planning and zoning boards and all of the pieces. And if it works out that it's what you're looking for, some of them will take it on a contingent basis. If it's a good enough deal, they'll take it on a contingent basis so you're not out a lot of cash, and they will work with you to make sure they protect your interests and the developer. And they typically are the people who the developer will sometimes work with as well to run something through planning and zoning and all of the other pieces that have to do that, because in every case, there are usually 4 or 5 different governmental entities that you've got to deal with. Depending on where you are, you may have to do wetlands, you may have to do resurvey, you may have to do utility surveys, road surveys, all kinds of stuff. And that's the kind of thing that you get out of someone who's really knowledgeable about all the pieces, and a little bit of an expense on the front end there puts you in a far more knowledgeable situation to deal with that commercial developer if and when it comes to that.
Listen.
Thank you, Tim. That's great advice.
Yeah.
And how would you recommend finding a commercial estate consultant?
Look, not estate consultant, commercial development consultant. Just start on Google, and commercial real estate consultant in your local marketplace. Put in your county commercial real estate consultant, development consultant,
development consultant. Commercial real estate consultant's going to get you about 1,000 people.
Right.
Development consultant. This is one of those scenarios specifically with the development consultant and a developer, someone that deals with dirt and dividing all the time. You're going to have to chop the revenue, the profit up a few ways, but it's better to chop the revenue up with people that know what they're doing than to flounder on your own and never get it done. So bring in the heavy hitters that know how to do something like this, because this is a potential big deal, and they're hard to land, and they're almost impossible to land when you don't know what you're doing.
Thank you. Good advice.
All right, bud.
Perfect. Okay, Jim, close us out.
Yep, right on time. Another awesome call, guys. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. Particularly thank those that actively participated. And as always, I challenge each of you, take one idea that inspired you on this call, go out and put it into practice, and please come back next Thursday and share your results with the group. Have a great week, and see you same time next week, everybody. Take care.